Here we go. Okay. I'm still a little bit nervous doing the lives in English, but anyhow, once you press live, you cannot go back, right? So yeah, I wanted to share some of the experiences that we've had. I'm speaking we in this case because it's for both me and Yuri, my partner. Some of the the experiences, the energies, things that we've been through since the session. It's been very wonderful, very magical, but at the same time very potent, very intense. Not in the same way as transformations used to be before, but it's like different kind of intense, different kind of, I don't know, just like energy flowing in, flowing through. There was moments where there was just like so much. I had to go out and just, you know, be with the trees, which of course is something that has happened before, but it's just like I don't know, that's why when I'm speaking, you know, please listen to me with your heart, because there's like no words that I can use to explain. I can use words, but I mean words still at the end of the day are still words, so you know, there's not really words to describe the feeling. So I'm just, you know, doing my best here. But yeah, it's been tense, and it was funny because just around the middle of the surgery, Mom came to me and she was like, "Are you ready?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course I'm ready, you know, bring it on," which, like, what else would I say? And in the moment, of course, you don't really know what you're gonna get, but you just surrender and you just go with it because it's Mom and she's with you. But yeah, then I was like, oh, that's what you meant. It was like very magical. That's the word I would use. The more that we surrender, the easier it is. So it's just, you know, about surrendering. But the main thing that we've been going through since the activation, that was about 2 weeks ago, was the two hearts activating, which is, you know, the twin flame hearts, and we have one in right chest, the other one in the left chest, which is something I have like heard before but didn't really feel it, or like didn't really go into it because, well, I don't know, there was no need for it. But then just before the session, the galactics like let me know like this is what is activating, and so I was like, oh, I get it, like I remember now. And I mean, it feels like two hearts. It's different than the heart chakra. It's of course different than the physical heart, but it is still like two hearts in me, one masculine, one feminine, from, you know, the other part. So this has been activating. I feel, especially for me, the right one. I've been working on it for like last 3 days now, because it's part of like the whole process that I've been going through. But yeah, they have been activating and they have been bridging. Just like in the middle, there's a bridge of energy flowing from one heart to the other. Hey Maria, ¿qué tal? And it's been like a very interesting feeling, because it is something that kind of like I always knew inside of me, this is how it's supposed to feel. But then, you know, it just was time for me. And so in this balancing out, of course, it was balancing out the masculine and feminine energies in both of us. And so the fascinating part was like, especially for him, after he had his session with Bob's, it's like the next day I watched his whole face change like in several hours in intervals. And I was so fucking fascinated because I could always see him, I could always remember him, because, you know, it's just a very deep remembering. But then it's like his whole facial structures were changing, and it was changing so fast. Like I have never, like ever in all the years of transformation that we've been together, seen it change so much. Because you know how it is when you're transforming and you're like kind of shredding off the old skin, your body, your face is gonna change. And this doesn't mean it's like very noticeable for, you know, that other people can really see it, but you can see it and you can feel it. And so I was just like watching him in A, because it was like just changing and shifting. And then I look at him a few hours later, I was like, what the fuck is happening to you? Like, what the fuck is going on? And it was funny because for him it was such a jump, and again, I was fascinated. I was in A because it was funny during like the whole journey that we've had together. You know, there were moments when I got frustrated because I felt like, you know, come on man, like you can do this, like speed it up a little, you know, push more and things like that. And he would look at me back laughing, being like, you know, patience, it's gonna happen, and once I do it, I'm gonna jump, so you better be ready. And so he was teasing me, and then it happened. I was like, you know, before I was like, yeah, you can talk whatever you want, but then it happened. I was like, what? Like, what the fuck is this? And so it kind of started feeling as he was pulling me up, when before it felt like I'm pulling him up. And of course, like what I'm speaking is like not 100% literal because it's mutual, it goes both ways, but you know, that's kind of like the energy that felt that it brought. He's also stopped using the glasses. He used glasses before, and after the session he took them off, and he hasn't had one single problem with his eyes, whereas before, you know, he would take off his glasses and his eyes would still hurt, or they would get teary fine, and he hasn't had his glasses on for like 2 weeks now, and it was like just, you know, not any problems whatsoever. For me personally, like, that's maybe his part. For me personally, it was a lot of, I would say, feminine surrender, because especially, I would say, in the white culture, we have been very masculinized, if that's the word, you know, and then, of course, we've been both balancing the masculine and feminine energies, you know, during the whole journey. It was always part of it. But now it just really feels like the two balances, like they're starting to even out, whereas before, like, it wasn't really necessarily always pushing to be in balance, but it's just like so easy now, and it happens so naturally, so organically, kind of like, you know, water that goes from like one vessel to the other, and it's just like this ease and this flow. And so this has been going on in both of us, and then, you know, together. And then for me, it was a lot of feminine opening up, I would say, which is of course like part of the shredding off of the extra masculine energy, and that's why my right heart is still in the process currently, because there's like some energy that I still have to transform, especially like inside my right shoulder, around my right shoulder. That's also where I had an accident, like a big accident 2 years ago. So, you know, but it's clearing out in a very different way than it was before, because, you know, everything that we've been going on, in some ways it has always been going on. Like, we've always had like kind of this kind of transformation, but like just the whole energy, the whole flow, it's so different. It's like different kind of energy. I don't really know how to explain it, but you know, that's how it feels. And so this has been pushing out, and I've had days when I felt like I was shredding my old skin like several times per day. And I feel this is what mom meant also when, you know, she was kind of like, "Mommy, are you ready?" Because again, it is something that I have gone through before, but it was just happening so fast. And it literally felt like old energy, old skin energy, not skin energy, but you know, it kind of like feels like on top of you. It was just like shredding and shredding and shredding, and that's why surrender, especially for me, was so important, because, you know, as feminine, hey Carolyn, hello love. So yeah, this, especially the feminine, you know, we have to open up, because we, like, I like the example of being like a rose, because I mean, we've been roses, but we've had the spines, right? And so it's kind of time to get rid of the spines and just be the rose that you are, and that's what the rose represents for me. It's the full opening up, and full surrender, and then surrendering to each other, surrendering of course to yourself, but then surrendering to your partner, or like the opposite gender, or whatever you want to call it as well, because we had to, you know, you and I, we had to like different or a deeper level of surrendering to each other. And it's just been very beautiful. And some people kind of like sometimes confuse surrender with giving away your power, and it has been nothing like this at all. It really feels like we are balancing out. And the more I surrender, it feels like the more he steps up in the masculine power, which again, like, don't understand me wrong. I'm not saying anything about the masculine being above the feminine, anything like this. But it's again like kind of this sense of, you know, you're as a feminine, you're kind of like the rose, and he is like the petal, you know, what that's called. And so the more you open up, the stronger the petal gets as well, and it's mutual support. And so there's been a lot more of compassion activating as well, patience with each other, which again is something that we've had, something we've worked on, but it's just like so easy now. It's like when I'm going through something, he like so naturally and organically holds me up and gives me what I need in those moments. I try to do the same for him. So, you know, that's why I'm lost for words, because it's so organic and it's balancing out so evenly and so beautiful. And then part of it, of course, is also like maybe the flames uniting or activating, you could say. Love you, Christian. So there's right after the session, we had such beautiful moments, because like, of course, we've always remembered each other and things like that since the moment we've met, but I was just like staring into his eyes, and like fucking it felt like I remember everything, which of course I don't, but it was such a deep level of remembrance, of connection. Like, again, there's like, I don't really have words to explain it, so just, you know, feel into it, and I hope you feel it. So that's some of the changes that we've been going through our bodies. Like the physical structure has also been changing. Apart from the jaws, we've both noticed our jaws are, I don't know, there's like something going on with the bones. It's changing, but also our whole bone structures, because I don't know, for me, I feel like my body is kind of like softening a little bit, and his is like growing stronger in a sense, which again, you know, don't take my words to an extreme, but it is kind of like, you know, the more of your higher self that comes in, or the more that of that energy that you anchor in, it's also gonna show on your physical body. And when I feel into the energy of my bones, or like generally like my vessel, I can see my etheric vessel, if you could say so, uniting with my physical, or like not uniting, but kind of like they're starting to get a more similar shape. That would be a better way to explain it. But yeah, just like it was funny, because the other day we had memories coming back to us when we were giants, and it was funny because like some days after that we both felt like so huge. I was like, what the fuck is this? I feel like a giant. And then after that there was like another shift in the whole body, in like feeling the body, the body is changing. So, you know, that's some of the things that we have noticed. My voice has also been changing, which is not really, you cannot probably really hear it yet. I don't hear it either, but I was shown like there are some parts of my throat, of my vocal cords that are starting to shift, so that I would have more of like my natural angelic voice, or like whatever you want to call it, because I feel, you know, in our angelic selves, of course, our voices are a little bit different as well. So that's another thing that we both have noticed. It was funny because right after his session, like his whole Adam's apple, like, and his whole throat, it like changed. I was watching it kind of like move in the session. I was like, wow. So that's been awesome. Also, some parts of the brain are also coming into balance, because, you know, it's kind of like about balance generally. If I would use a word, it would be about balance. But yeah, the brains are closing or like coming together more, which again is something that has been going on, but I'm like sensing it's like it kind of feels like they're not really gluing together, but like the synapses are like starting to connect more or like a deeper level, because you know I'm using those words because it's all a cycle. You know, it is one level and then the other level and then the next level, and so some of the changes, you know, they've been going on for some time now, but it's a different kind of activation that is going on now. So you know, the brains have been activating and connecting more. The third eye, it's like blasting through. I've had days it was just like, I mean, it feels so open, and like at the same time I still feel where the blocks are, but I feel like how much is opening up, and again, you know, it was open before, but it's just like it's something new. So I feel that's like what I love most about it, because it's very new, but at the same time very familiar. It feels like, you know, something we've already been through, or like something that you've already known before, but again, different and new energy. So that's what's been going on. I had some things like, because I get nervous when I speak English, I had things written on a paper, but then the wind blew it away, so I just have to go with it. Oh, another thing that I noticed or wanted to mention is there was a block on top of my heart, which is part of like me coming into my motherly, especially motherly essence, which is of course like part of the feminine essence. And then what I was shown is it came when I gave birth, because when I gave birth to my first child, I was young, and it was like, I wouldn't use the word traumatic, but I don't know, just, you know, it was kind of an intense experience, because he was breech, and I'm very small, and I was alone, so, you know, I was young. It was quite an interesting moment. And then of course after he was born, they took him away because he was breech, and so, you know, they had to check some things and things like that. And so for some moments, or like even days after, he wouldn't be with me as much as maybe other children would be with their moms, and so it created a block with me